Welcome guys. The evidence-based approach is often the province of statistically pseudo-experts, incapable of grasping absence of evidence. Absence of evidence. Consider the following experiment. John is founder of a highly successful web analytic website and has baseline 50 million active members as entrepreneurs, aspiring entrepreneurs, investors, decision makers who are using his services. Year 1, John's membership web analytic is doing very well. Year 2, the financial health of the company has shifted from good to better. Year 3, the profitability of the company is outstanding. John traveled the world and gives seminar about how magnificent and grandiose his company is doing until year 7. All of a sudden, John travels the world and gives seminar about how magnificent and grandiose his company is doing until year 5 or 6, you name it. And then all of a sudden, on the 7th year, John's web analytic company faced a surprise downturn. Only after the fact, meaning when wiped out and out of business, John seemed to understand that he was conflating emergency room for cosmetic surgery, when in reality he was sitting on a ticking time bomb. Does that ring a bell in your mind? I guess yes. Now, John here is victim of 3 things. First and foremost, as CEO, John is using the statistical that he observed and make his inference, and use his inferences, meaning use basically hindsight as foresight. As direct consequence, he doesn't know that he is facing something unpredictable than he thinks. Basically, John here is a turkey, right? He is conflating, as I said, he is conflating, or he is mistaking extremism for mediocrism. For those of you who haven't listened, that I'll please recommend you to go back and listen to 2 previous episodes that I released. I dive into mediocrism and extremism, and here is the keyword. In extremism, the statistics are out of reach. It doesn't work there. In mediocrism, yes, the law of large numbers work, but 9 out of 10 experts always try to squeeze the extremism into the mediocrism. The world today doesn't work that way anymore. We inhabit simultaneously these 2 worlds. Yes, mediocrism and extremism. Now, second, John is fooled by the law of large number, which implies Second, John is fooled by the law of small numbers, which implies we humans have a strong tendency to draw out conclusions very quick on a small amount of data. In practical terms, what I'm trying to say here is that, let me give you a very simple example. A 3-year data set cannot predict a 10 years flood. You see? But we humans, we have a strong propensity to make inference in a small amount of data, and from there we make our inference and we make our decision, right? Now, the third mistake that John is facing is John is victim of the confirmation bias, which is nothing more than taking seriously what you see and not taking seriously what you don't see. After all, the dark side of the moon is very difficult to be seen. This by the way is what's happened to a lot of online businesses that are born every day and die. And most people are not going to let you know that out there. You just see what I call the survivorship bias. They're always paying the good one, the one that has been successful. Whereas if you really do take the ones in the cemetery, you see that they share the same attribute. But anyway, let us keep going. What are the three big takeaways of this episode? Well, I'm glad all of you being here to ask. First thing first. With the world that has become increasingly more complex today, therefore, we are more prone to errors because of the complexity due to globalization and internet. So, it is not what you know that makes you knowledgeable. It is the type of mistakes that you don't make. Let me repeat again. It is not what you know that makes you knowledgeable and rigorous. It is the type of mistakes that you don't make. This is the first thing. Now, second, John, just like many entrepreneurs and decision makers and investors, seem to forget this logical precedence. In order to grow, you have to first and foremost to be able to survive. Meaning, what I mean by surviving, that means your ability to handle disorder. What I mean by disorder here means mistakes, error, change, option, volatility, variation, incomplete information, incomplete understanding, luck. Right? If you can handle all what I just gave you, I call them the disorder cluster, you are well on your way. And by the way, to add something also, something in addition, talking about growth without concern of fragility is like a builder who is studying construction without thinking of collapses. You see? That means first and foremost, what comes first is the robustness, right? If you don't have a robust foundation, I didn't say a solid foundation, because anything that's robust, even when something happens, you remain the same, right? Now, third, no amount of observation of steady earning can allow the inference that the company is financially healthy and profitable. But the observation of a single upside down spike is sufficient to refute that conclusion. Why? Simply because volatility, in the case of John, volatility was compressed and the contribution of risk accumulated coming from jump was increasing, which by the way is something you cannot observe in the making. In this case, you cannot observe from the making, right? This is the reason why I'm saying, quite careful, I repeat it again, statistic doesn't work in extremistan. And this is exactly the reason why optionality profit has been created and been built. There are programs coming soon to help you navigate the wall of randomness, the wall of uncertainty, to domesticate and capitalize on randomness. Why? Because since the world has become more complex, as I said before, we are more prone to errors because of complexity. Hence, there's a huge decrease of predictability and a high increase of unpredictability. And therefore, since we cannot beforehand predict what is going to happen, we are more prone to error. And here's the key point. Since we can make mistakes in an environment, that doesn't mean that we cannot profit from those mistakes. This is the reason why we are here. Now, and finally, and fourth big takeaway that I'll give you here is the following. Most experts out there doesn't have a risk consciousness that has improved. Yes, this explains why a lot of companies are born and die every day. Yeah, you'll be hearing expert giving you here and there. They'll just be giving you the survivorship bias. By the way, history is written by the winners, by the facts that won, and by the people that won. But if you look quite carefully in the symmetry of the bankrupt one, you check quite carefully, you see that most of the time, or minor, they have the same attribute just like the winners. The key question here is, how do you navigate it? This is the reason why optionality profit has been built to help you make decisions on the incomplete information and the incomplete understanding, and how to build a system where mistakes can occur without threatening the system. But most importantly, use as fuel for improvement. Thank you guys. It was an honor to serve you, and take this idea, please start to implement it immediately, and in the meantime, see you tomorrow for the next episode. You are magnificent. Thank you guys.